The stars looked different today. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the small ship called Discovery and watched the empty space around them. His crew of 23 people had been exploring this part of space for 6 months now. They were far from home, far from Earth, but that was their job. Find new worlds, find new life, make friends if possible. Jake was 42 years old and had been flying ships for 20 years. He was not a military man. None of his crew were soldiers. They were explorers, scientists, and dreamers. The Discovery was not a warship. It had no weapons except small guns to clear space rocks. It was built to explore, not to fight. The ship shook suddenly. Jake grabbed the metal rail to keep from falling. Red lights started flashing on all the control panels. His second in command, Commander Beth Taylor, ran to her station. "Captain, we have 12 large ships coming toward us," she said. Her voice was calm, but Jake could hear the fear underneath. "They are big, sir, really big." Jake looked at the main screen. 12 ships had appeared from nowhere, surrounding the Discovery like wolves around a sheep. Each alien ship was 10 times bigger than his little exploration vessel. They were dark metal with strange lights running along their sides. Jake had never seen anything like them. "Open communication channels," Jake ordered. "Let them know we come in peace." The response came immediately. The voice that spoke was cold and mechanical, translated by their computers from some alien language. "Human vessel, you are now prisoners of the Zephyrian Collective. Prepare to surrender your ship and your lives to our authority." Jake felt his heart beat faster. This was first contact, but not the kind humanity had hoped for. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earthship Discovery. We are peaceful explorers. We mean no harm to you or your people. Perhaps we can talk." "There is nothing to discuss, human. Your species has been evaluated. You are weak. Your technology is primitive. Your worlds will serve our collective. You have 1 minute to surrender or we will destroy you." Jake looked around his bridge. His crew stared back at him with wide eyes. They all knew what this meant. Earth was 27 light years away. Even if they could send a message, it would take almost 30 years to reach home. No one would know what happened here. "Sir," Beth whispered, "what do we do?" Jake closed his eyes for a moment. He thought about his wife Linda back on Earth. He thought about his daughter Kate, only 16 years old. He thought about the 8 billion people who had no idea that aliens existed, let alone that they were coming to make slaves of them all. "Send a message to Earth," he said quietly. "Emergency broadcast. Tell them everything." "Captain," the alien voice spoke again. "Your time is over. Surrender now." Jake walked to the communication station. He opened the channel so the aliens could hear him. "I am Captain Jake Morrison. I speak for the human race. We do not surrender. We do not submit. If you want war, then you have chosen war." The aliens laughed. It was a cold, terrible sound. "You're 23 people against our 12 warships. This is not war, human. This is pest control." Jake smiled sadly. "You do not understand. We are not your enemy because we have 23 people. We are your enemy because we are human. That makes all the difference." "Send the message to Earth now," Jake told his crew. "Tell them we tried peace. Tell them what comes next is not our choice." Beth's fingers flew over her controls. The message would take years to reach Earth, but it would get there. Jake began recording his final words to humanity. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Discovery. We have made contact with an alien race called the Zephyrian Collective. They have demanded our surrender and the surrender of all humanity. We have refused. They are about to destroy our ship. Earth, you need to know that we are not alone in the universe. And we are not welcome. The aliens are coming. Be ready. Fight them. Do not let them win. Tell my family I love them. Tell humanity that we stood our ground. Morrison out." The first blast hit the Discovery's shields. The ship rocked violently. Lights went out all over the bridge. Jake could hear his crew calling out damage reports, but he knew it was hopeless. The alien ships were too powerful. "Captain," Beth called out, "shields are failing. Hull damage on all levels. We have maybe 2 minutes." Jake nodded. Keep sending the message. Do not stop until the power goes out. Another blast hit them. This time, Jake felt the heat through the walls. The ship was dying around them, but the message was still broadcasting. 27 years from now, someone on Earth would receive it. They would know that humanity had enemies among the stars. The alien spoke again. Your ship is finished, human. We offer you one last chance. Surrender, and we will make your death quick. Jake laughed, surprising himself. You still do not understand. Humans do not surrender, we do not quit. You can kill us, but you cannot defeat us. And when my people learn what you have done here, they will come for you. 23 humans against the might of the collective? The alien voice mocked. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. We have destroyed entire species. What makes you think your people are special? Because, Jake said as the final blast charged up on the alien ships, you have never met humans before. You think this is about numbers. You think this is about technology. You are wrong. This is about something you do not have and never will have. This is about being human. The last thing Jake saw was the bright flash of the alien weapons. The Discovery exploded in a ball of fire and metal. 23 brave humans died in the cold of space. But their message was already racing toward Earth at the speed of light. 27 years later, Admiral Lisa Carter would receive that message at Luna Command. She would hear Jake Morrison's last words. She would learn about the Zephyrian Collective and their demand for humanity's surrender, and she would smile because she knew something the aliens did not. Humanity had been preparing for this day for over a century. They had been building things in secret, creating weapons and plans that even most humans did not know about. The Zephyrians thought they had won an easy victory. They thought 23 dead humans meant the rest would be just as easy to kill. They were about to learn how wrong they could be. Admiral Lisa Carter sat in her office on Luna Base, staring at the message that had just arrived from deep space. 27 years had passed since Captain Morrison sent his final transmission. 27 years for humanity to prepare for this moment. The message was clear and simple. The Zephyrian Collective was coming. They had given humanity 30 Earth days to surrender or face complete destruction. Their fleet was already moving toward human space, confident that Earth would submit without a fight. Lisa pressed a button on her desk. Within minutes, 12 people entered her office. These were not ordinary military officers. They were the keepers of humanity's deepest secrets, the guardians of projects so classified that most government leaders did not know they existed. Gentlemen, ladies, Lisa said, it is time to activate the final protocol. Dr. Elena Rodriguez was the first to speak. She was a small woman with gray hair and tired eyes, but she had spent the last 15 years preparing for this day. Admiral, are you certain? Once we begin, there is no going back. They killed 23 innocent people and declared war on our entire species, Lisa replied. We tried peace. Captain Morrison tried peace. They chose war. Now they get what war with humanity really means. Deep beneath the mountains of Colorado, Dr. Rodriguez walked through corridors that officially did not exist. Her team of scientists had been working in secret for decades, building weapons that broke every treaty humanity had ever considered signing. The final protocol was not just one weapon. It was an entire way of fighting that would change warfare, forever. Colonel Ryan Murphy received his orders at the same time. His job was to activate the orbital defense systems that the public believed were just communication satellites. For 50 years, humanity had been putting weapons in space, disguising them as peaceful technology. Now those hidden guns would reveal their true purpose. Ryan stood in a control room buried deep under the Nevada desert. Around him, dozens of technicians began powering up systems that had been sleeping for decades. On the screens, he could see the fake satellites beginning to unfold, revealing massive weapons that could destroy ships from halfway across the solar system. Sir, one of his technicians called out. All platforms are coming online. We have full coverage of the inner system. Good, Ryan said. Now activate the asteroid bases. For 60 years, humanity had been mining asteroids in the belt between Mars and Jupiter. The public thought they were just looking for metals and water. In reality, They had been building the largest military installation in human history. Entire asteroids had been hollowed out and filled with weapons, ships, and supplies for a war that everyone hoped would never come. Lieutenant Commander Amy Parker was on one of those hidden bases when the activation order came through. She had been living a lie for 10 years, pretending to be a simple mining engineer while actually commanding a fleet of warships built with technology that should not have existed. "All ships, this is Parker." She spoke into her communicator. "Final protocol is active. Prepare for Operation Ghost Fleet." Around her, the asteroid split open like a flower, revealing dozens of black ships that had never appeared on any official records. These were not the clean, white vessels that the public associated with human space travel. These were dark, angular, things built for one purpose only: to kill. General Kevin Walsh was coordinating everything from his command center on Mars. The Red Planet had always been humanity's backup plan, but not in the way most people thought. Mars was not a colony, it was a fortress. Every dome, every tunnel, every building had been designed to turn the planet into a weapon. "Report from all sectors," Kevin ordered. "Earth systems online," came the first reply. "Hidden fleets are launching, from ocean bases." "Luna Command ready," came the second. "Railgun installations are powered and targeting." "Asteroid belt reporting full activation," Amy's voice crackled through the communication system. "Ghost Fleet is ready to deploy." "Jupiter, station online," came another voice. "Deep Space Sensor Network is active, we can see them coming." But the most important call came from Dr. Rodriguez. "Colorado base reporting. The final protocol is ready for deployment. All assets are in position." The Zephyrian fleet was still 3 weeks away from Earth when they detected the first signs that something was different. Their long-range sensors, which had shown them a primitive world with simple technology, suddenly registered massive energy signatures throughout the human solar system. High Admiral Zextelar studied the readings with growing confusion. According to their intelligence, humans had a small space fleet and basic orbital installations. What his sensors were showing him now made no sense. There were military installations everywhere, hidden weapons that had somehow escaped detection, and energy readings that suggested technology far more advanced than anything they had expected. "Communications," he ordered. "Send a message to the human homeworld. Demand an explanation for these weapons." Admiral Carter received the alien transmission in her war room. The Zephyrian commander sounded angry and confused. He wanted to know where all the human weapons had come from, how they had hidden so much military power, and why their intelligence had been so wrong. Lisa smiled as she prepared her response. "High Admiral Zextelar, you asked us to surrender, we declined. You threatened to destroy us, we chose to defend ourselves. What you are seeing now is what humans call being prepared. We have been ready for this war since the day Captain Morrison died." "This is impossible," the alien commander replied. "Our scouts surveyed your system. You had no significant military presence." "Your scouts saw what we wanted them to see," Lisa answered. "The question you should be asking is not how we hid our weapons. The question you should be asking is why we have been hiding them for so long." The truth was simple and terrifying. Humanity had not fought a war in over 200 years, not because they were peaceful, but because they had learned something much more effective than traditional warfare. They had spent those 2 centuries turning war itself into a science, preparing for enemies they had never met, building weapons for battles they hoped would never come. Dr. Rodriguez activated the first phase of the final protocol. Across human space, systems that had been dormant for decades began to wake up. Ships that existed only in classified files powered up their engines. Weapons that violated the known laws of physics charged their firing chambers. The Zephyrians had expected to fight a primitive species with basic technology. Instead, they were about to face humanity's true nature, a species that had turned the art of war into something far more dangerous than simple violence. "All stations," Admiral Carter broadcast to every hidden base, every secret ship, every classified weapon system. "This is Luna Command. Operation Final Protocol is now active. Show them what humans really are." The Zephyrian fleet arrived at the edge of the human solar system like a dark cloud blocking out the stars. 2,000 warships, each one the size of a human city, moved in perfect formation toward Earth. High Admiral Zex Talar stood on the bridge of his flagship, confident that this would be the easiest conquest in the history of the collective. "Begin the attack," he ordered. "Destroy their outer defenses first, then move toward their homeworld." The first battle happened near Pluto, where humanity had built what appeared to be a small defense station. Commander Tony Stevens led the EOIOM defense with just 12 human ships against 200 alien vessels. The fight lasted exactly 47 minutes. When it was over, all 12 human ships were destroyed, and the defense station was nothing but floating metal. "Too easy," Zex Talar muttered as he watched the battle reports. "These humans fight like children." The Zephyrian fleet moved deeper into the system. They found another human defense force near Neptune, this one led by Captain Ben Tucker on a WEUR ship called the Defiance. Tucker's 20 ships put up a better fight, using strange tactics and weapons the aliens had never seen before, but the outcome was the same. The humans were outnumbered and outgunned. After 3 hours of battle, the Defiance and her escorts were destroyed. But something strange happened. The aliens could not find all the wreckage. Several human ships had simply vanished during the battle, leaving no debris behind. Zex Talar ordered his scouts to search for survivors, but they found nothing. "No matter," he told his officers. "Cowards who run from battle are not worth pursuing." The pattern continued as the alien fleet moved toward the inner planets. At Jupiter, Lieutenant Sarah Williams led a desperate defense with 30 human ships. Her small fleet managed to destroy 50 alien vessels before being overwhelmed. But again, several human ships disappeared without a trace during the chaos of battle. By the time the Zephyrian fleet reached Mars, they had destroyed over 200 human ships and dozens of defense stations. The Red Planet put up the strongest fight yet. General Kevin Walsh commanded the planetary defenses from deep underground bunkers, while his orbital stations fired everything they had at the incoming aliens. The battle for Mars lasted 2 full days. The planet's surface was covered with weapons that fired continuously at the alien fleet. Underground missile silos launched waves of rockets that filled the space around Mars with explosions. For the first time, the Zephyrians took serious losses, losing almost 300 ships to the planet's defenses. But Mars had only a few hundred defenders against thousands of aliens. When the orbital stations ran out of ammunition and the surface weapons were destroyed by bombing runs, General Walsh sent his final message to Earth. "This is Mars Command. We cannot hold them any longer. The planet is lost. But we made them pay for it. Good luck, Earth. Make them pay even more." The surviving defenders of Mars surrendered, and the Zephyrian fleet moved on. They had lost almost 400 ships in the fighting, but they still had over 1,500 left. More than enough to conquer one primitive planet. Admiral Carter watched the battles from Luna Command, her face showing no emotion as she received each defeat report. Her staff looked worried. They had lost over 300 ships and several planets, and the aliens were almost at Earth. "Admiral," one of her officers said, "should we activate the final protocol now? We are running out of time." "Not yet," Carter replied calmly. "Everything is going according to plan." Her officers stared at her in confusion. This looked like a disaster, not a plan. But Carter knew something they did not. Every battle, every defeat, every destroyed ship was giving humanity exactly what it needed: information. Dr. Rodriguez watched the battle reports from her hidden laboratory deep underground. Each engagement provided new data about alien technology, tactics, and psychology. Her computers analyzed every second of the fighting, learning how the aliens thought, how they fought, and most importantly, how they could be beaten. "Phase 1 complete," she reported to Admiral Carter. "We have all the data we need. The aliens think they are winning." "Good," Carter replied. "Begin Phase 2. The truth was that humanity had been fighting exactly the kind of war they wanted the aliens to see. Every ship that had been destroyed was expendable. Every defense that had failed was meant to fail. The real war had not even started yet. Captain Ben Tucker, who the aliens thought was dead, sat in the command center of a ship that did not officially exist. His vessel was hidden in the shadow of one of Jupiter's moons, along with 50 other ships that had been destroyed in earlier battles. They had used special technology to fake their deaths, making the aliens think they had won easy victories. "All ghost ships report ready," Tucker said into his communicator. "We are in position." Lieutenant Commander Amy Parker commanded another group of ships that the aliens had never seen. Her fleet had been hidden inside asteroids for decades, waiting for this moment. While the Zephyrians celebrated their victories, Amy's ships moved silently through space, getting into position behind the alien fleet. The Zephyrian fleet finally reached Earth orbit, expecting to find a defeated planet ready to surrender. Instead, they found Admiral Carter waiting for them with what appeared to be humanity's last defense fleet. 200 human ships faced off against 1,500 alien vessels in the space between Earth and its moon. "Human Admiral," Zex Talar broadcast, "you have seen what happened to your outer defenses. Surrender now and your death will be quick." "Zephyrian Commander," Carter replied, "you have fought well, but you have not been fighting humans. You have been fighting shadows. Now, you face something different. Now you face what humanity really is." "What are you talking about?" Zextalar demanded. "We have destroyed your fleets. We have conquered your worlds. You have nothing left." Carter smiled. "We have everything left. You just have not seen it yet. The war you have been fighting is over. The war we have been preparing for is about to begin." Around Earth, systems that had been hidden for decades began to power up. The real human fleet, the one that had been waiting in secret, started to move. And in her underground laboratory, Dr. Rodriguez prepared to unleash something that would change the meaning of war forever. The aliens had won every battle, but they were about to discover that winning battles and winning wars were two very different things. The first sign that something had changed came when the Zephyrian communication networks began to fail. High Admiral Zextalar was giving orders to his fleet when suddenly half his ships stopped responding. Their communication systems were working, but the messages they received made no sense. "Admiral," his communication officer reported, "we are getting strange signals from our own ships. They are reporting that their computers are showing false information." Major Alex Chen sat in a hidden bunker on Earth's moon, his fingers dancing across keyboards that controlled systems the aliens had never imagined. He had been officially listed as dead after the battle for Jupiter, but like many human casualties, he was very much alive and working. "Phase 1 of cyber assault complete," he reported to Admiral Carter. "Their communication network is compromised. They can no longer trust their own computers." What the Zephyrians did not understand was that humans had been listening to their communication since the first battle. Every message, every order, every piece of data had been recorded and analyzed. Now that information was being used against them in ways that broke every rule of warfare they knew. Captain Maria Santos commanded a ship that existed only in the most classified files. Her vessel, the Phantom, could bend light around itself, becoming invisible to both eyes and sensors. She had been hunting Zephyrian command ships for 3 days, destroying them one by one without ever being seen. "Target acquired," she whispered to her crew. "Another command vessel. Take it out silently." The Zephyrian ship exploded without warning, its crew never knowing what hit them. To the other alien ships, it looked like their own vessel had simply blown up for no reason. Fear began to spread through the fleet as more and more ships were destroyed by an enemy they could not see. Dr. Rodriguez activated the next phase of humanity's real weapon from her laboratory deep underground. She pressed a button that sent a signal to every human device in the galaxy, from the smallest communication unit to the largest space stations. The final protocol was not just one weapon. It was everything humanity had built, turned into a weapon. "Psychological warfare phase beginning," she announced. "Deploying doubt." The Zephyrians had conquered many worlds, but they had never faced an enemy like humanity. Humans did not just fight with guns and ships. They fought with ideas, with fear, with the power to make their enemies question everything they believed. Zextalar received a message on his personal communication device, something that should have been impossible. The message was from his own home planet, from his own family, asking why he was killing innocent people. But his family had been dead for 50 years, and his home planet was thousands of light years away. "How is this possible?" he demanded of his officers. But they were dealing with their own impossible messages. Pictures of loved ones asking them to stop fighting. Videos of their home worlds being destroyed by wars they had started. None of it was real, but it looked and sounded completely real. Dr. Peter Hayes worked from a mobile laboratory that moved between dimensions, using technology that the aliens could not even detect. His job was to study how the Zephyrian mind worked, then use that knowledge to break their will to fight. Alien psychology report complete, he transmitted to Admiral Carter. They are a collective species. They depend on unity and shared purpose. If we can break their trust in their leaders, they will fall apart. The attacks began small. Zephyrian soldiers started receiving orders that contradicted each other. Ship captains were told to attack their own allies. Command officers got messages telling them that other officers were planning to betray them. None of it was true, but the aliens had no way to tell the difference. Captain Ben Tucker's ghost fleet finally revealed itself, appearing behind the Zephyrian fleet like phantoms materializing from empty space. 50 ships that were supposed to be destroyed opened fire on the aliens from behind, catching them completely by surprise. "This is Tucker to all ghost ships," he broadcast. "Time to show them that humans do not stay dead." The battle that followed was unlike anything the Zephyrians had ever experienced. They were fighting an enemy that appeared and disappeared at will, that attacked from impossible angles, that seemed to know their every move before they made it. Their superior numbers meant nothing when they could not find their targets. Lieutenant, Commander Amy Parker's asteroid fleet joined the battle, her ships emerging from rocks that the aliens had passed by without a second thought. Weapons that had been hidden for decades opened fire from every direction, turning the space around Earth into a maze of death. "This is impossible," Zextalar shouted as his fleet was torn apart around him. "Where did all these ships come from, Admiral?" Carter's voice came through the communication system, calm and cold. "They came from the same place they have always been. You just were not looking hard enough. This is what happens when you threaten humanity. This is what we become." But the final blow was not military. It was psychological. Dr. Hayes released his ultimate weapon into the Zephyrian communication network. It was a simple idea, but one that destroyed everything the collective believed in. The message spread from ship to ship, from mind to mind. Their leaders had been lying to them for centuries. The Zephyrian Empire had been built on the idea that they were superior to all other species, that they had the right to conquer and enslave anyone they met. But humans had shown them something different. They had shown them what it felt like to be the victims. Within hours, the mighty Zephyrian fleet began to fall apart, not from human weapons, but from their own doubts. Ship captains stopped following orders. Crews refused to fight. Entire squadrons surrendered without firing another shot. "Admiral," Zextalar's communication officer reported, his voice shaking, "we are receiving surrender requests from half our fleet. They no longer wish to fight." Zextalar looked around his bridge at officers, who would no longer meet his eyes. The humans had not just defeated his fleet. They had destroyed everything his people believed in. Admiral Carter received the final surrender transmission 3 days later. The Zephyrian Collective, which had ruled 12 star systems for 3,000 years, officially disbanded. Their member species had lost all faith in their leadership and were now fighting among themselves. "Admiral," one of her officers asked, "what do we do with their surrender?" Carter looked out at the space around Earth, where the wreckage of the alien fleet drifted silently among the stars. "We accept it. The war is over. We won." "How did we do it?" the officer asked. "How did we defeat such a powerful enemy?" Carter smiled sadly. "We gave them exactly what they gave us. They brought superior technology and greater numbers. We brought something far worse. We brought the one thing that no species should ever face. We brought humanity at war. And when humans go to war, we do not just fight to win. We fight to make sure our enemies never want to fight us again." The galaxy would remember this day, not as a battle between two fleets, but as the day an entire civilization learned that some species should never be threatened. Humanity returned to exploring the stars, their terrible weapons hidden once again. But now every alien race knew the truth. Humanity's greatest weapon was not their technology or their courage. It was their absolute refusal to lose no matter what the cost.